So double Paralympic gold medal winner, Pam Jones, MBE, welcome to the University of Warwick.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on your honorary doctorate. What does it mean to be awarded this kind of honour? What does it mean to you?
I was really surprised actually when I first got the letter in the mail to say that I'd been awarded an honorary doctorate, mostly because it seems like such a prestigious award, and you hear about people and then, celebrities and stuff like that getting given honorary doctorates, and you just think, oh wow, that's amazing. So to be offered one myself, I think, I was really overwhelmed. I was so excited, called my mum and told her, and I think she probably cried. We're a big tearful family, so and I'm just really honoured to be here and to be kind of sharing in the experience of all of the Warwick graduates that are getting their undergraduate degrees today, and just to see that, because I actually never attended my own graduation because I was rowing, and you don't have time to spend the day up I went to university in Birmingham and just didn't fit in my racing schedule, so I missed my own undergraduate graduation, so now I get to come to this one and see what it's all about.
Great. And your sporting career is a long list of titles and achievements. Not least, you're the only Paralympic rower in history to win 2 gold medals, which is some achievement. And if you look back at 7-year-old you, would you ever have imagined that these things would be you in several years' time?
It's such a funny thing, isn't it? Because not even just 7-year-old me, 17-year-old me, maybe 20-year-old me as well. I didn't actually start rowing until I was in my 20s, so it was a very, very quick learning curve from me first picking up a boat and putting it on the water to going to London 2012 and winning my first gold medal. So it happened like in the blink of an eye, and it's funny now because it feels like it went in the blink of an eye as well. So yeah, I never would have imagined that this would have been my life, and even then when I was rowing, looking on to my post-rowing career, I never would have thought that I am where I am today. So it's kind of one of those things you have to really listen to what your mind and your heart is telling you about what direction to go in, and it can open up so many doors. It's really fantastic.
And you hadn't actually planned a rowing career, as we've just discussed, and one of the things you really wanted to do when you were younger was have a career in the armed forces. You wanted to be in the Royal Engineers, and unfortunately your psoriatic arthritis cut short your army career. That must have been a difficult milestone for you.
Yeah, it was. I've wanted to join the army since I was about 14 or 15. I have a very strong military kind of heritage in my family, and I was selected to go to Welbeck Defence Sixth Form College, which is up in just outside Loughborough. I think I was selected when I was 15, so it's the youngest point at which you can enlist in the military. And I had to jump through a various number of hurdles because I have the psoriatic arthritis, and I've had it since I was, before I can even remember, but it was diagnosed when I was 7. And so had to jump through a various number of hurdles. Initially they denied my application because of my medical condition, but I was kind of determined and physically strong enough as well. I was very, very physically fit as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, and I think that they kind of didn't put 2 and 2 together of beating all the boys in the fitness test and having this, debilitating condition.
Yeah.
And at the time it was in a very, very small way. I wasn't really taking much medication for it and stuff like that. So I went to Welbeck and then got selected by the Royal Engineers to be a sponsored cadet through university. And it was during my time at university when my condition deteriorated, and that's when I was up for medical review, and unfortunately I was discharged from the army. So at the time I was absolutely devastated. As you join the military at age 15 and you get 5 years into a career and you think, right, I'm in now, and then to have it taken away just before going to Sandhurst, I was really gutted. But again, as I said before, it's just one of those things that it opened up another opportunity. I never ever would have started rowing had I not been kicked out of the army. And at the time I was absolutely gutted, but then now when I look back at it as a 28-year-old, I completely understand and see and agree with the decision that they made, because I was not in a position where if I had deployed and I hadn't been able to take medication and all of that stuff, then I would have just ground to a halt. So it's definitely the right decision that they made. And I can see that with hindsight now, and it's definitely, you know, it's one of those things. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. That was one of my first hurdles that I got over. It made me more resilient to future hurdles. So,
and it was at university. You just said that you started rowing, and that was only in 2010. And you discovered it. You'd never done it before, and then since then you've had this huge success in that particular sport. And where did you find that drive to succeed in that sport?
So I started rowing in 2010. It was just after I got discharged from the army. I was kind of feeling extremely disappointed, as you can imagine. All my friends were still in the military, and I felt very much like I was kind of didn't really know. I was very, you know, I didn't have any direction because I didn't know what else I wanted to do. I never had to think about what else I was going to do because I was like, well, I'm in the army, so this is my career. And it came to an end very quickly, so I didn't really have enough time to really think, well, what am I going to do then? And so at the time, my sister was rowing on the national team as an able-bodied rower, and she obviously had seen the demise of my military career and spoke to the Paralympic coaches on the GB rowing team and said, well, my sister's got this condition, a number of her joints are completely fused from it, and do you think she'd be eligible for Paralympic rowing? And they got me down and classified me, and it was a very, very quick turnaround again. I went from career in the army to absolutely no idea to if you train hard enough you might go to London 2012, all within the space of about 4 months. So it was a bit of a whirlwind, and so I started rowing just in my final year of university and graduated in 2011, just prior to going to my first World Championships. So it was about 9 months between taking my first stroke ever to go into the World Championships in 2011, so it was very quick. And then obviously a year later, that was when I went to London.
So, as we said, you missed your own graduation for the commitment to the sport.
Yeah.
So Warwick University is just investing in a new state-of-the-art sport and wellness hub, which will be open to students and staff and the local community, and it opens in 2019. Obviously, we're making the investment. How important is sport, do you think, in the community, especially for students and young people?
I think it's so important, not just in the community, but just as a method of challenging yourself. It's very easy, I think, for us to kind of be challenged by just everyday stresses and feel like that's enough. And actually, I think as a society, we're all capable of so much more. And sport can be one way of doing that, and it doesn't have to be. I think that I have lots of friends who are not into sport or fitness whatsoever, and sometimes it can feel like we're speaking different languages because I'm so into sport. But I think that you don't necessarily need to be, the best netball player in the world to get something from the challenge of joining a netball team and the teamwork aspect of it, the training, or even just going to the gym a couple of times a week. It's something that's hard. I'm an athlete who went to the gym every single day of her life for 6 years, and sometimes I find it hard to go to the gym. It is hard, and that's why you do it. It's not, I feel like the benefit you get mentally from challenge yourself to push out of your comfort zone is so valuable when it comes just to life. You want to do better at your job, you want to be a better parent, you want to be a better sister. All of those things can be helped by pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and going and using a facility like you guys are going to have next year is something that can really help with that. I'm very, very jealous.
Now, we've talked about your Royal Engineers, your intended career in the army, but also you studied physics at university, and some may say that those are more male, traditionally male fields. Things are changing now, thank goodness, but did you have female role models when you were growing up in science, and could you see people like you wanted to be who were females? And how important do you think role models are for young girls in STEM subjects, and do you think this is changing?
I think that I have had female role models almost exclusively my entire life, but not through trying. I have grown up in a very female-dominated household. I have 3 sisters and no brothers, and all of our pets have always been girls. And that, I think, has led me into automatically assuming that people that are bigger, better, fitter, stronger and more smart than me are women, because I was the youngest of initially 3, and then 14 years later my younger sister was born. So I always had two big sisters to look up to, and they were always overachieving. My dad was in the military and loved, and still does love, rugby. Completely obsessed, I would say, actually, with rugby. And therefore, when his daughters were of the right age to join rugby teams, that's exactly what we did. And we played in a team of mostly boys and maybe one or two girls up into the age where they separate the genders out. And so it was almost like, I think I grew up in a house where it was just assumed that you had any opportunity you possibly could want as a female. And that's, I think, led me to take on these more male-dominated roles in my life. And I think in terms of role models, I remember watching Kelly Holmes win double Olympic gold at the Olympics in Athens in 2004. And was it one Olympic in Athens and then maybe two in Beijing? I can't quite remember, but I remember growing up, and she was, I remember she was a PT in the army, and I just thought that she was the bee's knees. And then as well, my favourite teacher at school, and also my physics and science teacher, was a woman who I'm still in touch with now. And that was something that really inspired me to want to do science. And when I joined the military, it was definitely a male-dominated environment. I think it was 5-1 men to women. And I think that being in that place, you kind of had to be able to hold your own. And a lot of women, I did notice, would kind of fade away into the background when it came to leadership tasks. And I have never, ever been that type of person. So I think it almost brought it out of me even more to feel confident. And there's a bit of a movement now that's happening where there is opportunity now to speak up about it, and I take any opportunity to recognise when things are said in a presumptive, male way, when actually it doesn't need that. So I now take it upon myself to do that, but I also think that it doesn't need to be done in an aggressive, angry way. I think it needs to be done in a really educational way, and that's why I love now to talk about what I'm doing now with my life, which is I'm in the process of starting up a sustainable organic farm just outside Washington, D.C. My husband and I own some property out there, and he grew up on a farm, but this is 100% not his baby. This is his, he's happy to live that lifestyle, but he has very much said, this is not what I want to do as a job, and so if you're going to do this is going to be you doing it and me helping in any small way that I can. And I'm really proud and happy that that's the way our lives are going to be, because I want this to be an example of a woman who then collaborates with other women to do something which traditionally you would not assume would be a female role. So I tell everyone that possibly asks that, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a farmer, because that's what I am, and I love it.
Brilliant. Well, Pam Jones, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been really interesting, and thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.